have you become?
I am what you made me.
Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast. Your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss the latest episode of Obi Wan Kenobi, it's my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hello there.
Yeah, not bad, mate. How are you?
I am good, mate. I am good. Enjoyed this episode. I really did enjoy this episode.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that because
Apparently.
we appear to be in the minority.
I don't get it. Like, you said to me about, people online apparently didn't find this episode as good as we did. And I was like, no, shut up. It was a great episode. That was so much in it. It was brilliant. And then I loaded up, the toxic Twitter, as I call it now.
Yeah.
And loaded that up and I was like, oh, people are actually really slamming this.
Yeah. So
what?
I think one of the things that I think we ought before we get into the episode, there's a big difference between critiquing, this is what I like, this is what I didn't like, which is the definition of podcasting, blogging, things like that. And then there's just straight up hatred for whatever reason. So I think much like Ewan McGregor did this week, I just want to kick this podcast off with a little mention. There is a character. Now, I know you've loaded up IMDb for me here, so you can help me with this. The name of the actress who plays Reva.
Yeah, is Moses Ingram.
Okay, so Moses Ingram has been getting, let's face it, absolutely disgusting racist abuse.
Yeah.
She's been brave enough, and I think it is brave, putting your head above the parapet to share the stuff she's getting via Instagram, etc. It's 2022. I find it very difficult that we still live in a world where people's intelligence level hasn't advanced to a point that they recognize someone who looks different to them is still a person. I'm not quite sure where we go with that. I know different parts of the world are moving at different paces as it comes to this, and in some parts of the world, from town to town, it seems to be moving at different paces, but you're not a Star Wars fan. If you believe that you're a Star Wars fan, and you also believe it's okay to throw racist abuse at one of the actors, you're not a Star Wars fan. You've missed the point of every single thing you're watching.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, get lost. Just go away. This isn't for you. If you believe that that is your sort of divine right, that you can say things like that to another person, just go away. You're not welcome here. And that's all I want to say on it. Would you like to add anything, my friend?
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like, in this day and age, it shouldn't even be a thing that we're having to open a podcast with, let alone having to have seen some of the stuff shared. I mean, the fact that Ewan McGregor's come out and he's sent, obviously he did a video himself and sent out a message. The official Star Wars social media pages, they put a post out on Twitter 3 days ago, and it said, "We are proud to welcome Moses Ingram to the Star Wars family and excited for Reva's story to unfold. If anyone intends to make her feel in any way unwelcome, we only have one thing to say: we resist." You know, and they've had to come out and do it. It's mental. It's this day and age, like, it shouldn't even be a thing, you know? And it goes back to, unfortunately, things like this they're not bred, they're taught, you know? Yeah. And if you are somebody who is still kind of teaching this sort of thing, go look in the mirror.
Yeah,
sort it out.
I have to agree.
You know?
Yeah, no, completely agree.
My best example I have on this is actually I've got a 4-year-old stepson, and we were watching football the other day, and just a normal match on telly. I can't remember who was playing, and he kept asking me, who's the black player? Who's the black player? Who's that? And I'm going through, it must be Sterling, it must be, going through all the list of players. No, he was talking about the referee. Like, that is how kids see it. The referee wears a black uniform.
Yeah.
That's how kids see it. Like, that is how pure and simple it is. It was actually a white man was the referee, but he was just wearing a black kit, you know? And that is literally how black and white kids see it. So this is something that a generation is still teaching the next generation to act like this. And it's just so backwards. Yeah. It's not needed. Yeah. Like, in this day and age, it shouldn't even be a thing.
No, it's absolute horse shit. But we've called it out, and I don't want to do a whole podcast on it. We could, but I don't want to. So we've addressed that. I felt like we had to. We're going to move on into the Obi-Wan series as a whole now, and this episode. But what I want to do, because me and you really enjoyed it, and I've got bullet points of all the different things I want to discuss and go through with you.
Yep.
But we've actually had messages come in from people, a couple of emails, a couple of social media posts that have been tagged to us, where people are highlighting things that they really didn't like in the episode. Now, I don't think they're doing it in a kind of this is crap kind of way, but kind of like, you got to talk about this, you know. So I'm going to pick these things out first. I'm going to pick them out first because I want to kind of, the bulk of this episode is just going to be purely positive. But I'm going to pick these out because I watched this episode twice. I've then seen the emails and seen the messages, and I've gone, why hasn't this bothered me? Because I tend to watch things, especially when I watch them a couple of times. 1, pure enjoyment. 2, make my notes. Yep. So I normally I'd pick up on these things. So I'm kind of like, maybe it's my bias. Maybe I just love Star Wars so much, I'm overlooking all of these things.
Okay.
Number one. You ready?
Yep.
There is a scene in this episode where Obi-Wan and Leia have battled away from being in the back of a transport, and they've killed some stormtroopers, or Obi-Wan's killed some stormtroopers with a blaster, no less. Oh, so uncivilized. And they're at a gate. Now, the gate is like a laser beam across the gate, okay?
Yep.
Obi-Wan tries to open the gate, is unable to open the gate, so he shoots it, so the gate powers down and they walk through.
Yeah.
There are massive gaps either side that they could literally just walk around the gate. Like, the gate is stopping the transport. Yeah. They could literally walk around it.
I've got to be honest. I have got that in a note.
Yeah.
One of my notes was just walk around the gate. Save time. Walk around it.
It's kind of like, see, that's been pointed out, but it's been pointed out like I think 3 different people pointed that out to us to discuss on the podcast. And all 3 people did it in a kind of, this really made me laugh. Like, it was so, because a lot of people found like Reva chasing down Obi-Wan in episode 2 was like really extra, you know, like the parkour running stuff.
Yeah.
And people were like, that was so over the top. Like, all of the moves were like so unnecessary. Like, you literally could take a step, instead she did a somersault. It's like,
yeah.
And I kind of, I didn't really talk about it when I was breaking down episode 2, because to me, the dark side, they are extra. That is them. They are very over the top. So
yeah, and I'm pretty sure one of the jokey things is like, if you ever watch a lightsaber battle, the amount of jumps and twists and spins and knee
none
slides,
of it's necessary.
No, that's what the fun of Star Wars. That is literally the fun of Star Wars.
Yeah,
so, I could run there, or I could 3 jumps and a backflip. I'm doing that
exactly.
one.
I know what I'm going to choose. Hey, if I could do it, I know what I'd choose, okay?
Let's look at Luke's training sessions with Yoda, and he's jumping and backflipping and front flipping off of logs.
Yeah.
He didn't need to do any of that. It's just that's what Star Wars does.
Yeah, if Luke Skywalker does it, it's fine. If a black woman does it, there's an issue. Let's let that sink in. Yeah. But anyway, so part 3, like I said, so we had these messages, and basically the 3 that I was tagged in were just like, this was really funny to me. It was like so extra, like, just walk around the gate. Why are you shooting? Because if he'd gone back to the transport, like jumping in the transport, it would have made sense. But
blown up the gate and driven through. But
no. So that's one. So that's one thing that was pointed out, and okay, I'm looking at that, and that's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of funny. The one thing I would say to kind of caveat that, and this is true, by the way, and I hope people listening will kind of not just judge me horrifically. How many times, man, have you in your life had the simplest solution in the world in front of you, but somehow your brain has not twigged, so you've complicated it?
So last week, I live in a little village and we have a church at the top of the hill, which is on part of like the route round the village.
Yeah.
And the gate was shut. And I was like, I have walked this far. I'm not going all the way back. I'm just going to hop the fence and hop the other fence. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Took me about 3 or 4 minutes to get myself over this fence just to realise that actually, no, the gate wasn't padlocked at all. It had just been shut by the last person.
So you could have just opened the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So
that
this
was
just
last
demonstrates, this demonstrates perfectly, and I really hope everyone else watching knows this, because when you're in a moment, like, because he's in a moment, he's just had that fight, the adrenaline's going, everything like that. He's confronted with this gate, and he thinks, right, I must get through the gate. I must get, like, to me, a funny part of that would have been if Leia had just been pointing, like, we could have, okay, fine.
Well, he's blown the gate, he's walked through it, and she's just walked around the side and gone, oh.
Yeah, like, whilst pulling a face at him, like, really, dude? Really?
Yeah.
Was that needed? So that is one. So that's one thing people have pointed out and people had a real issue with. So that's fine. Now, the second thing, and this one people have a massive issue with, and I've got to be honest with you, I don't get it, because I worked this out and I thought this was really obvious.
Yeah.
When Leia's running through the tunnels, she sends Tala back to get Ben, and she is told, keep running and you'll get to the pilot, keep going, and she does.
Yes.
We see Reva enter the tunnel system, so she is stood at the tunnel entrance and looks around, and then the next time we see her, she is ahead of Leia, killed the pilot, and is basically there waiting for Leia. People are calling this out and going crazy, like, this is ridiculous, this is such crap writing. How could she have got past Tala without them bumping into each other? How could she have got past Leia without Leia seeing, this is ridiculous. Am I the only person that watched her clock where she was, work out where they would have been going, and then clearly she went to the dock? Like, clearly she didn't go through the tunnel, she just went, right, I know where this is going.
Yeah, I thought that was fairly obvious. I thought that was chances are those tunnels weren't going to be a straight A to B line.
No.
If there's like the sewer system or whatever. So therefore, she jumped in and went, wait a minute.
I know where this is going.
This is clearly a secret passage to get out.
Yeah.
If you're going to get out, you're going to go to the spaceport. I'll just go straight to the spaceport and catch them. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, she is clearly gifted with the Force. Me and you discussed it with the episode 1 and 2 that she keeps saying stuff and she's right. she is nailed up. For whatever reason, she is clearly spotting things.
Yeah.
And when she's there and they're all walking around the town, she spots that robot come out of that building and thinks, I'm going to investigate that. And then she goes inside, finds the hidden door. She investigates that. And then when she's in that room where Jedi have scrawled all over the wall, so she knows what this is. She's worked out this is a hiding place for Jedi. And then she finds the other hidden door. I don't understand why people think it's such a reach that she would then clock, okay, this clearly leads to the spaceport, goes to the spaceport, and then would clearly be able to work out from there where that tunnel leads. If she could stand in a village and go, okay, I can sense there's something there, and then looks, she could stand in the spaceport and go, okay, I think I can sense something there, and go and look.
You could probably sense the one guy stood on his own feeling really damn nervous. As probably sending some vibrations through the Force, I would reckon. Yeah,
a pilot basically bricking himself because he just heard Vader's ripping through the village.
And he's been told you're going to get 2 Jedi off the planet. Yeah. Okay,
exactly.
Great.
You are absolutely dropping it in your space trousers.
Yeah.
so I don't, like, to me, I watched that scene, I was like, that's obvious, and I've watched it twice and I'm like, it's all there. So if anyone has a massive issue with that scene, I encourage you to go back and watch it again, because she walks into the tunnel and you see her clock everything and then be like, okay, and then I know you don't see her walk out. I know you don't see her walk all the way up to the spaceport or get a transport to the spaceport, like jump in her, the ship's right there. She might have jumped in that and been there in 30 seconds. So
Yeah.
I know you don't see it, but it is all there. Like, I know these episodes can only be so long. Things get deleted, and I just don't. I know there are some shows I talk about, and me and you talk about them when we say, I feel like there's something really missing here. Like, this doesn't make sense.
Yep.
For me, this doesn't. For me, this did make sense. So I don't know if I'm in the minority, but to me, and I think you, from what you've just said, I clocked that and thought that was fine. That was, she
it wasn't
worked
something...
out what was going on and got there.
Yeah, it wasn't something that made me go, like... So last week how I made the whole jokey popper thing about, how can no one catch a kid when they're running?
Yeah.
That wakes me. This, not a chance. No, this was just like, okay, yeah, she worked it out and she went to the other end to catch him off.
Yeah, your whole kid running thing. It seems to have divided the world, by the way, because I have seen so many TikTok videos, so many YouTube, so many comments of people slating that. And in every comment section are people like me going, you've never chased a toddler and it shows. Just like everyone clearly has a very different experience with catching kids. You either catch them really quickly because they're kids and you're fast, or you are chasing them like they're covered in soap and your hands like don't work, which is me. That's where I am.
There's no middle ground on this.
There appears to be zero middle ground. There is no one in the comment section going, well, actually, sometimes yes, but sometimes no. It's just like...
It all depends where I am.
Yeah. No, this kid wants to get away from me. The slippery little bugger is going to do it. That's been making me laugh this week. But
I never knew there was such an opinion on that.
No.
I thought it was just me getting annoyed, but the whole world...
Well, it's really funny because, like, you said it, and my immediate reaction was like, what, really? Seriously, dude, how many times have you chased kids? They're a nightmare. And you're like, quite often, and they're fine.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was such a divide. But so that's the second thing. Now the third thing, okay? Now the third thing, I will admit, I made a note of this, and I am curious. So I'd like it if you, perhaps, could say to me, oh, Sam, it's because of this.
Okay.
Okay? Possibly you're going to go, yeah, I made this note as well. But Vader is grabbed Obi-Wan in a force choke and elevated him.
Yep.
Vader then sets fire using his saber to the ground.
Yep. And
basically froze Obi-Wan into it to burn him.
Yeah, dark.
Very dark. He then uses the force to extinguish the flames. Basically uses his hand and like sucks the air away.
Yep.
So it's just smouldering. He then sends in a stormtrooper to pick him up. Basically we're going to take him back to the castle, have a bit of torture-y fun time.
Yeah.
At that point, the lovely Tala shoots the stormtrooper and then shoots something that's there, which explodes to create a fire between Vader and Obi-Wan.
Yep.
Why doesn't he just extinguish it like he did the last one?
Yeah, so, I have... I didn't make a note, but I did make a mental note of this. Yeah, it did seem just a little bit like, fire, burn Obi, put it out. Fire, no, we can't get to Obi.
because it like just happened. I mean, like, it's not like a week ago and then this week he's gone, oh yeah, crap, I could have done that. Oh, never mind. Like it just happened. Like, you literally just went, voomp, fire gone. Fire back, you just go, voomp, fire gone. I mean, unless he needs to recharge his force hand. I don't know.
Now,
does he need to,
when I used to play the Star Wars Battlefront games on the computers and stuff, you could only use the force once every couple of minutes, so maybe
this is what it is. Maybe
he's currently he's there spamming the control button, but it's recharging at the moment.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I hear you. Do you know there's people listening to this who are gamers who are just like, yes, that's what
I feel that one.
Yeah, that one hits home. Yeah. So I have a contrasting theory. Now I'm going to say to everybody listening who had a problem with that scene, yeah, okay, I'm kind of like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I understand Because we literally watch him, flames,
Just do it.
gone. Oh,
Yeah.
new flames. Oh, these flames are scarier flames. It doesn't make sense. However, I'm going to offer this up. Now, people may think I'm reaching, overreading, but I'm going to offer this up because I think the show is doing everything pretty well. People can have their opinions, I know that, but I think they're doing everything pretty well and they're layering stuff in, and I think there is perhaps still a little bit of conflict between Anakin and Vader. Vader has just marched into this town, breaking necks, killing everyone to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
But when he has him and can kill him, he doesn't do it.
No, he drops him to capture him, whereas he could have just gone and done him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have literally just seen him snap someone's neck like that. So he could, when he got hold of him like that, could have killed him.
Yeah.
He didn't. And then when he drops him to the floor, then there's the fire. He throws him in there and he starts talking about, now you're going to feel my pain. Basically it's a bit of, you set fire to me, I'm going to set fire to you. Tit for tat in quite possibly the worst way.
Yeah.
Now, with that being the case, and again, you could have just let him burn alive. Vader's evil. Vader's just killing people left, right, and center. He's wanted to kill Obi-Wan. He says, I want him dead, but then he puts the flames out and goes, go get him.
Yeah.
So, if you want him, Vader's not shy about killing people. So, if Vader wants you dead, you're dead.
Pretty much, yeah. That's a written contract, yeah.
So here, yeah, it's pretty much signed, sealed, delivered right there. So I'm going to say now, and this is just me and my opinion, there is a demonstration in that of a conflict. Vader is the one who's grabbed him, force choked him in the air, and Anakin's the one who's kind of like, nah, I'm not going to break his neck. Vader's then throw him into the flames, and Anakin's the one who's put the flames out to take him a prisoner.
So it's almost like split personality kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I mean, the way they promoted the series is this is Vader, peak Vader. This is, because what a lot of people have said is like, we've never really seen, other than that one scene in Rogue One, we've never really seen Vader at his, I'm scaring the crap out of the galaxy best. I say best, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Episodes 1 to 3, it's about becoming Vader. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 is basically about becoming Anakin again, if you see what I mean. It's like the descent into darkness and then the return to the light.
Yeah.
I know he does some bad stuff, but I'm just saying that that's the basic arcs of those trilogies. So now we have this 20-year period between 3 and 4 where Vader is the dominant evil bastard in the galaxy. The reason why when episode 4 launches everyone is terrified of him is because of these 20 years of carnage. So if that's the case, I'm probably wrong. If that's the case, then perhaps he's just being uber sadistic. But I like the idea that when that happened, the part of him could have put the flames out, but he was kind of like, no, I'm going to let him get away. I've done some damage to him. I don't need to kill him. I don't want to kill him. There's a conflict, because that is a running theme with Anakin, is the conflict. Is this running theme. Padme says that Obi-Wan, when she's dying, I can still sense good in him.
Yep.
Obi-Wan's really close to him. I'm not quite sure Obi-Wan's picking up those vibes, but maybe in part 4 he might.
Being dragged face first across fire, he may not be feeling good guy vibes. But
do you think? So I have another theory for that as well, which I'm going to throw in here. So we know, or we don't know. It's been hinted heavily that in this series there will be some flashbacks to the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. I have said ever since this show was announced and the Hayden Christensen was announced, it would be very odd to bring Hayden Christensen back, to not use his voice because it's James Earl Jones, and to never see him because he's in the suit. Like, yeah, it's great for him to come back and play Vader again, but it would seem a bit of a waste. Like, why would you do that?
You could put any 6-foot dude in a suit and say, it's exactly. Vader! Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know we see him in a kind of mirage flash as a Jedi. Obi-Wan kind of sees him, which is a cool scene in this episode.
Yeah.
But if you think about the burns and the damage that's been done to Obi-Wan in this episode, I think in part 4, Obi-Wan could be spending a little bit of time in a bacta tank. Bit like Boba Fett did, and Boba Fett kept having those dreams.
Of course, yeah, in the Book of Boba,
And I'm thinking maybe this is where we're going to get a little bit of flashbackiness, if you like.
That'd be cool.
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be interesting. I'd also love it if we just got, because there's such a cult following to the Clone Wars animated series. I'd love it if we got a few live action scenes from the like a few of the fans of the Clone Wars could go, oh wow, that's live action reenactment of that. A
couple of people like Rex and people like that just to make little cameo appearances would be damn cool.
People that lose their damn minds. But yeah, so there you go. So those are the 3 things that people really had an issue with and wanted to point out. We've addressed them. I think we've done it in a very positive, lovely way for all the people at Lucasfilm listening right now. We are now going to dive into the episode. So I'm now going to dive into my bullet points, okay?
Let's do it.
The episode begins jumping straight into where we left off with part 2. So the thing that I like is, in theory, when this is done, it would appear to be one massive film. Because part 1 ends and part 2 literally is the next scene.
Yeah.
And part 2 ends and part 3 is literally the next scene. So when this all airs as 6 episodes, I'm spending a day watching them. All as one film, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I'm like that. So
you're looking at what, 3, 6? I mean, you're looking at around 9 hours.
But potentially. I mean, when they advertised this,
no, wait. That's 3, 6.
Yeah, when they advertised this, they said it was going to be 6 episodes, an hour long. They're not an hour long.
Yeah.
The first episode was best part of an hour. Then it was 30 minutes, and this one was about 35. So, yeah, they've stiffed us a little bit. But
yeah, about 5 hours.
I'm gonna let it go. So Obi-Wan is asking again for Qui-Gon. He's looking for that connection to Qui-Gon. He has reopened himself to the Force. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting to hear a voice. I was expecting to hear Liam Neeson's voice come in like, what a mess you've got yourself into, Padawan, or something. Just to come in. But no, we don't get that. We get we just get him basically asking for help, and we get this incredible suit up scene with Vader whilst Ben is asking for Qui-Gon. Now, you love a suit up scene. So how much did you enjoy this,
mate? That was awesome. That was so... I think I messaged you like straight away, like, Vader suit up! Oh, what a... Yeah, just like everything, even like his legs going on, like everything. It was so good.
It was everything. Like, there's like one... There's right at the very beginning, it looks like they're twisting his nipples as well. I don't know what's going on there. That was weird. But that was like it was like they were adding these bolts in there, like, whoop. I was like, oh, wow, purple nurple to start. No wonder why he's always in a bad mood if that's how he starts every day.
But during that scene as well, you see, like, when we've seen Vader before, we kind of just see the guy in the suit. And then at the end of Return of the Jedi, he takes the helmet off and he's like, oh, you can't breathe without it and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you never really see the rest of it.
No. But that was very cool. It was very, very cool. And also...
To see, all the pipes going into his body to keep, like... We saw a bit in Book of Boba about the whole... the mechanical side of people, where she has her in like her stomach and stuff all changed up with it, and you get the tubing and all that.
The mods. Yeah.
That's it. And then you kind of see a little bit of that in this, like he's got the pipes going into him and attaching the legs, attaching the arm and all this, and then you're like, wow.
You just remember that the line from Obi Wan Kenobi in the original trilogy. He's more machine now than man.
Yeah, and then you see this scene and you're like, damn, he really is.
Really, really is, yeah. It's a good job Padme's not there. I don't think the part of him that she'd enjoy is there anymore.
No, but I understand why he's so mad the whole time, eh?
It does, yeah. You lose that, you're gonna have a grudge. So the suit up scene is integrated quite beautifully with Obi-Wan trying to reach out to Qui-Gon, because it appears to me, and I think a lot of people have got this as well, once he used the Force again, And once he found out that Anakin was alive and he reached out at the end of part 2, there's a connection there. Because he says, he's coming, Master. And he is. Like, literally, you got this suit up and then Vader comes marching his ass out. You know, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
On that ship, Ben is sat there doing something, and Leia, you know, is like, "Can't this go faster? Can't you use the Force to make it go faster?" No.
Oh, I love that. Just use the
Kids.
Force, make it go faster.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how the Force works, which made me think of Han Solo from the sequel trilogy. But
yeah,
the idea that basically in all of this going on, you still have a child asking, "Are we there yet?" It's just like, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty realistic.
That is basically exactly what it is. Yeah, are we there yet? Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. When are we going to be there? Now, what I did love in this scene, so that was funny. That was quite humorous. Now, Ben, fixes Lola, her little droid.
Yes.
Which I think is quite a sweet moment, because in part 2, she says, "Oh, Lola's been broken," and he goes, "Good."
It's like, he's proper dude. Like savage. Oh no, my droid's broken. Tough. It was annoying.
Now he fixes it, which is kind of lovely, and goes to speak to him as a person and how he sees Leia as well. But she asks about the Force, and his explanation, I don't know about you, man, but it's something I don't really think about, but I thought it was beautiful.
He says, "Are you scared of the dark? The Force is like having a light." It was like, wow.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever been afraid of the dark? Yes. And how do you feel when the light gets switched on? She's like, "Oh, safe." And he's like, "That's how it feels."
Yeah.
That as dialogue goes, Star Wars is always heavily criticised, and maybe that's really simplistic dialogue. I don't know, but I loved it. I thought that was just so, wow, that's such a great way of explaining it to everybody, but also a child. especially to a child. But at the same time, he explained it to a child, but the adults that are watching it also went, okay, yeah. Not like, it wasn't oversimplified that we sat there and, duh. Yeah. Well, duh. Yeah, no, I it's just something you don't really think about as well. It's like, how does the Force... I mean, me and you have joked about, you got the ability to use the Force. I'm like picking the remote up from the other side of the room. I'm closing doors. I'm maybe fetching myself a drink from the kitchen whilst I sit in the living room. I'm generally abusing the hell out of that privilege.
Yep.
He the way he describes it, that kind of warm, safe feeling, I thought was, like I said, was really quite beautiful.
Yeah.
They're on basically an automated transport for goods. This automated transport lands where it's designated to land. A loading droid gets to work, and the pair of them sneak off, as good stowaways do. And now they're heading towards these coordinates that were given to him by the fake Jedi. At this point, I think it's really important I point out that in our previous episode, I said he was dead. He's not. Reva actually doesn't kill him. I think in my head, because she went through basically killing everybody, she would have finished him off. But no, he actually does get away from her. So
apparently
the fake Jedi's still out there. Yeah, so he's still out there. Now, he gave Obi-Wan coordinates and Leia, and they're walking towards these coordinates. And whilst they're walking there, we do have this scene I mentioned a little bit earlier where Obi-Wan looks across and sees basically Anakin in his scarred self, but in his Jedi attire.
Yes.
That was creepy, wasn't it?
That was it. That was Hayden Christensen being Anakin Skywalker. There it was, right there.
If that's literally it, I'm going to be a little bit gutted for him.
For him, definitely, yeah. I played a flashback in part 3. No, but seeing him there was a split second where I was like, oh, he's hunted him down. And then I realised, and I was like, oh no, this is really haunting him. Like, this is messing Ben up.
Really, Ben has PTSD. Ben has
serious
damage, emotional damage. He's struggling with this, and I I got the utmost respect for the writers of this show for giving us this version of him, because I think it's so important to the story and so important for people to see a hero brought low sometimes to kind of realize that, you know, you can be the baddest Jedi in the galaxy, and then when stuff goes wrong, when stuff goes wrong, it hits you.
100%, yeah.
So now a scene I think could be easily overlooked, but I think is kind of important to dwell on for a moment, is when they reach these coordinates, Ben's like, nobody's come in. This was a mistake. Come on, we need to get out of here. This is a really bad idea. And at that point, Leia spots a transport coming and starts waving to it. And, you know, we go into that, which I'll come to in a second.
Yeah.
Ben Kenobi, they literally arrive at those coordinates. Like, literally arrive, and he starts freaking out. This is a bad idea.
Yeah.
One of the key things of Obi-Wan, whether you've watched the Clone Wars, whether you watched the original trilogy, whether you watch the sequel trilogy, the guy is patient.
It's all about patience.
He is a Jedi, and he is patient.
Yeah, so I am watching the way through. I've just finished season 2 of the Clone Wars. I know you've been telling me literally for years.
Yeah.
And I'm fine in the evenings. I'm sitting down and I'm doing some like computer work and stuff, and I'll have it on. I'm very lucky. I have 2 monitors. So one monitor is Clone Wars. The other monitor is kind of like worky stuff and games or whatever. Yeah. And I'm getting through a couple of episodes in the evening just whilst I'm doing bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's perfect. They're not long. They're like 20 minutes. I think.
And in that, I mean, you learn a hell of a lot about these characters, which is making this show even better, I think, if you have watched the Clone Wars.
I agree. Yep.
The whole way through, it's always Anakin, patience.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, patience.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about patience. All about patience. Obi-Wan gets to the top of that hill and goes, "Oh, God damn it, there's no one here. That's it. We've been tricked. I don't believe it. Oh, my God." And I'm watching it and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This guy has had a rough 10 years.
Yes. And I think it's a perfect example of how he is not the Jedi. You know, because he says to Organa, "I'm not the man I was 10 years ago." He's not. Like, he really isn't. Like, he has not used the Force in 10 years. Yeah. Until he had to save Leia. He hasn't used his saber in 10 years. Yeah. Until he's forced to in this episode. And you can tell, like, everything about him is not the Jedi. Now, what is interesting to me is when we meet this character again in episode 4, he is patient. He is controlled. He is carrying his lightsaber. He is a Jedi again. Yep.
But
so
he's
it
not
kind of feels
got the full kind of... He's not fully there. He hasn't got the patience back yet. And against the stormtroopers at the gate, he could have whipped the lightsaber out then, but he doesn't. He does it all with the blaster and stuff. So he's like... He's accepting it, but he's not fully re-embraced it yet.
No. So uncivilized with a blaster. No, that's the funny thing. Is
whilst you say that, just quickly, just because it came to my head and I had to tell you about it and I forgot. You know, you say about where he first uses the Force and he saves Leia? Yeah. There are a lot of TikToks and things going around at the moment that are comparing that, and then as he saves Leia, is turning to Gwen Stacy from Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
There's a few TikToks going around, and it's like what people were expecting to see, and it was like, no, whoa, no,
no. I'm happy. I'm happy just to focus. I'm happy just to focus on Star Wars for the moment.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think it's worth pointing that out. I think it's worth people realizing that scene feels a bit throwaway. Feels a bit like just they're walking and then they go to this transport and that's the whole point of the scene. But no, I think him showing a real lack of patience and a real lack of trust.
Yep.
Like, he has been badly burned. Pardon the pun. He has been badly burned by the galaxy. You know, listening to him talk, you know, this all used to be farms and people, and then the Empire came and stripped it all away. And Leia, aren't the Empire supposed to be helping? It's that propaganda versus the reality of Obi-Wan looking around going, when it was the Republic, this was beautiful. This was
he
full of people.
remembers 10, 15 years ago, Princess Leia has grown up with, it's the equivalent of every TV advert being like, yeah, the Empire, making jobs for you. She's grown up with that.
Literally is, she has grown up inside the Empire. She has never known anything else.
Yeah.
Now, at 10 years old, of course, as well, Organa's not going to be saying to her every day, okay, you got to lead the rebellion. It's going to... At 10 years old, she's literally just growing up. So they do make it to this transport, and we meet a creature, an alien dude. His name is Freck.
This is a dude who became epically cooler about an hour and a half after we watched the episode.
I know, right? So, have you seen the TikTok I did?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so happy with that. That took me far too long, but it was fun. So basically, Freck is played by... Now, I don't know if he's in a suit. I have no idea if he actually showed up live action or if he's just voicing it.
It does just say voice on IMDb credits.
Okay, and he doesn't even sound like him that much. Like, a lot of people thought it was Seth Rogen.
I did.
But
I thought it was Seth Rogen.
The voice of Freck is Zach Braff of Scrubs fame. He was JD in Scrubs.
Yes, he was.
And he's now Mr. Pugh, as far as I'm concerned, because he's dating Florence Pugh. So Ben and Leia get onto this transport. Leia kind of flags it down. He's like, come on, we need people to help us. Come on, this guy looks nice.
Obi-Wan, so untrusting. He's like, don't talk. Well, you do not talk to them. I'll talk. Don't
by the way, he's proven right. Which makes it worse. It's like my father says to me, he said, the biggest problem with being cynical in this world is you keep getting proven right. And I'm like, oh, that's a dark way of looking at things, but I suppose. They get onto this transport, and immediately Obi-Wan clocks the fact it's got an Imperial insignia on the back of it. And we have this, what I consider to be a real kind of lovely, tense, but fun scene where Freck spots a load of stormtroopers walking around and slows down like, hey guys, like, hey Freck. It's like, oh, your transport running late? As always. Oh, hop on and meet my new friends. And you've got Ben and Leia just like, oh, what?
Yeah,
literally stormtroopers. They're moving us around because we're hunting a Jedi. Like, oh, a Jedi, you say?
Yeah,
it's like, yeah.
There's Ben like, oh, Jedi's round here.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought it, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
How terrifying. I mean, the stormtroopers aren't the sharpest knives in the drawer. We know that. They're literally conscripts. And Ben balls us up. He introduces his daughter as one name and then calls her Leia in front of them.
Yeah.
But the stormtroopers seem to accept the explanation and move on.
They are very quick to be like, wait a minute, that's not what you call... Like, they're so quick onto it. And then he's kind of like, oh no. And then he gives this like lovely story. And it's the way he tells it, it's like, he's telling the truth in that moment. He is genuinely...
Yeah, exactly.
Seeing.
Yeah, it feels like... It's interesting because he says about losing her mother.
Yeah.
I think he does convey a genuine emotion because he looks at her and is like, I see her mother's face. And you see Leia like, oh, wow, this isn't a lie.
Yeah.
And we've already seen several times that Leia, possibly because of how force sensitive she is, can read people brilliantly.
Yeah.
Her cousin, she ripped to shreds.
Yes.
When she meets Ben for the first time, she immediately cottons onto, you're not telling me something.
Yeah.
And like straight away. So when he looks at her and says that, she clocks it straight away. The stormtroopers kind of accept it and leave. So just quickly before we move on to the next scene, what did you think about the fact that, because again, stormtroopers weak-minded, they're conscripts. We see in episode 4, Obi-Wan Kenobi, these aren't the droids you're looking for. Wave his hand.
Yeah.
And the stormtrooper's like, oh, these aren't the droids we're looking for.
Move along.
So when I'm watching this scene and the guy goes, hey, you just called her Leia, I was half expecting, no, I didn't. And the guy go, oh, maybe you didn't.
Yes.
But he doesn't. And again, he's not using the Force. He's not a Jedi at this moment. He is just a guy who can use the Force. He isn't Obi-Wan. This is the point, I think. Is when we see him in episode 4, 5, and 6, where he is back to that kind of, he's a lot older, but he's back to that kind of using his powers.
Yeah.
Right now, he just wants to be a farmer from Tor, and
Yeah.
he just doesn't.
I think
He doesn't see. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
We are seeing very much Ben Kenobi here.
Yeah.
You think of when we go to A New Hope and Luke says about some guy called Obi-Wan. Oh, that's a name I've not heard in a very long time.
Yeah.
He's I am Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And he admits,
Of course I know him.
I am Obi-Wan. Yeah, he is me. I am Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Whereas in this,
of course
he
I know
is
him.
so Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, I think my uncle knew him. He says he's dead. No, he's not dead. Not yet.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing. Anyway, so we get this scene. So the stormtroopers depart, and they're carrying on with this guy, Freck, who's driving them towards the spaceport. And we have this amazing moment where Leia turns to Obi-Wan and says, "You've been hiding something from me since the beginning. Did you know my mother? Are you my real father?"
Oh, that scene.
Oh, mate, this scene.
That hit me. Oh, wow.
Because you're like, in an emotional moment, you'd want him to go, "No, but I knew your father, and he was a wonderful man." You know, just speak about Anakin, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reality is, he's like, "No." He says, "No, I wish I was." And I think when he says that, he means it, because the reality is, no, I wish I was your father, because your actual father's coming to kill us.
Yeah.
He's actually coming to straight up murder everybody on this planet to find me. Which I mean, but what he does cleverly is he then deflects the talk, and we get a bit of a bombshell. Now, years and years ago, my older brother gave me a lot of novels which were Star Wars canon back then. When Disney bought Lucasfilm, all of the novels were kind of thrown in the bin. You know, none of that's canon anymore. If you've seen it on TV, that's canon. If you've read it, it's not. Like the comics, everything. And then they gradually reintroduced bits and took bits, and they've made some bits canon again, some bits not.
Yeah.
One of the things that wasn't, and one of the things that was originally going to be in Star Wars but then dropped by George Lucas, is that Obi-Wan Kenobi had a brother. And in this, he says, "I can just about remember my mum, I can just about remember my father, and I remember a baby. I had a younger brother."
Yes.
And he says, "But I don't remember that." I think he says he was taken by the Jedi Order when he was 3.
Yeah, he was taken when he was young. He vaguely remembers kind of... Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that's a side you don't... That's a side of the Jedi in general. Like, if you were to talk about that in just general terms, there's an organisation, and if you are really talented at something, they're going to come and take you at the age of 3. You're never going to see your family again. You're going to dedicate your life to it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be thinking they're the good guys.
No. It's a cult. It's a religious cult, and it is one of the things I've loved exploring as an adult. You know, as a child, you don't question these things. Jedi good, Sith bad. You know, good guy, bad guy. There we go. But as you get older, I love the fact I'm being challenged on a regular basis to look at these things and go, they weren't all right. You know, they weren't always spot on. And the Clone Wars animated show, again, not for kids, boys and girls. It's really not.
Yeah, it says 6+, but it's definitely not.
It really challenges your view of the Jedi in it, because they are manipulated and they're idiots in it. Like, literally, they've fought a war in this. They have been manipulated into it, and so many of them, like Obi-Wan and a select few, on a regular basis, you see questioning, you know, we're generals now? You know, the Jedi were protectors of the peace. Now I'm a war general, now, you know. But the vast majority, hell no, I'm just going to go smash up some battle droids. What up?
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting, like, for me, really interesting. I love the fact this being explored, and I love the fact, again, in this series, we get that line, because you look at that, like you just said, and go, that's really sad for Ben. You know, that's actually really sad. And then you think about, no wonder why so many of them turned to the dark side.
Well, yeah, and
you know,
you look at the fact as well, especially in the Clone Wars, like the senator and stuff like that, like the main people that were ordering the Jedis became the Emperor anyway.
I know.
So just how good were they really when their leader was the big bad guy. You know?
And this is it. They were blind. They didn't see there. I think Yoda says it in I can't remember what property he says it in, but he says like we were blinded, and a lot of that was arrogance.
Yeah.
And I think the Emperor even says like, the arrogance of the Jedi has allowed us to do this. And it's true. It really is true. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. We then get to this checkpoint. We've talked a little bit about this scene already, so we're not going to dwell much. But by the way, Freck, you treacherous git.
Yeah.
You gets out all like, oh, don't worry, I know these guys. He goes, yeah, I found a couple of strays. You might want to check them out. I'm like, Freck, dude.
Yeah.
You are not helping Obi-Wan's trust issues one bit.
No, Ben is untrusting and you're making it worse. Yeah.
No. So like I said, we talked about this scene in the gate and everything, so we're not going to dwell too much on that. But what I am going to say is, earlier in the episode, we see the Reva, third sister, and the other Inquisitors. So she has a meeting with Vader via hologram where she basically says, the Grand Inquisitor is gone, and she seems to be blaming Obi-Wan for that.
Yeah.
And so Vader's like, the job of Grand Inquisitor is going to be yours if you deliver him to me. But if you don't, you're dead. Vader's very black and white. Working for him is very clear. You do this or you die. It's not a kind of, you'll face a disciplinary on the Monday morning.
Yep.
It's I think HR would have a nightmare with this guy as a boss, but I'm just saying it's at least you know where you stand.
He gets the job done, I suppose.
And she goes to those other Inquisitors, and they send these probes out everywhere. Now, one of these probe droids, a nice throwback to the Empire Strikes Back, same design, is brought in by the stormtroopers to scan Ben and Leia.
Yeah.
And they're telling him to lift his head up. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? Because the minute this droid scans him and goes, Jedi! Everything's going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And Ben knows. So Ben gets ready with the blaster, and just as he lifts his head, and you see from the droid's point of view, it like goes red, like, oh my God, I know this guy.
This is the one!
Ben, yeah, that's him. You wanted like a little siren to go off, like, we found him! Barrels the droid, takes out the stormtroopers. By the way, we saw him really struggle, just fight a couple of gangsters in a thing. Yep. He's starting to get his mojo back. I think we're seeing that he's starting to, because he's opened himself up to the Force again. He took out the stormtroopers with a lot more ease than he did the two thugs, just a day ago.
Yes.
So I quite like that. I like the fact that we're seeing like a little bit of, transition. He's moving forward. If over the next few episodes, again, we see him becoming more and more, more and more Obi-Wan, so to speak.
Then,
but yeah, he takes, there's the one that's got the gun to Leia. And I'm watching this and he's saying like, put your gun down. And I'm watching it and thinking, what's he going to do? Because is this when we finally see it? Is this when old Bluey's going to get ignited? Is this going to be the moment? But no, he shoots him in the head. It was like a Deadpool move almost.
Probably like, I'm putting the gun down, bang.
Yeah. Because again, the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan fought in the Clone Wars for a long time.
Yes.
So he's not a kind of Jedi Knight who was ceremonial. This is someone who really was at war for years.
Yeah.
So he's not, once he's back in that mode, I think he's not going to take prisoners.
Especially not when you've got a gun to young Leia's head. Yeah.
No, and that's the interesting thing as well. And I think you hold a gun to Obi-Wan, I think he might just kind of go, okay, all right, chill.
Yeah.
You put a gun to Leia or Luke, that guy's going to go through you. So.
Oh yeah.
Which I loved. We then have the gate scene. We've discussed that, and then we see some stormtroopers rock up on a transport with an officer, basically taking them prisoner. We see the officers like proper stride off as well. Now I recognise the actress who's playing this officer.
Yep.
She was in Game of Thrones, which me and you, of course, did podcasts on.
Of course.
She was Elena Sand, who was basically the mother of the sand snakes, the 3 girls who were just straight up murdering everyone.
Yes, she was.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I kind of, when she comes marching up, I'm kind of like, oh, she's playing a baddie again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Didn't see that coming.
No, I loved it though. I love the fact that she introduces us to this basically underground railroad for Jedi. She takes out the stormtroopers. She says, you were given coordinates and I got there and you'd already gone. And I'm like, Ben, what have you learned, Ben? Patience, Ben. And then she gets them to this building, which has got a hidden door. And when they go in the hidden door, there is like a waiting area, like a room, a hidden room. And there's scribblings all over the walls of Jedi that have gone through. And she calls it the Path.
Yes.
Basically an underground network of people, some of them within the Empire, because she is an Imperial officer. She says, I joined up before I realised what it was. And then once I found out what it was, I've been working to try and, do some good. Loved that. I loved that aspect to it. I love the fact that the idea, again, not everyone in an Imperial uniform's a bad guy.
Yeah,
not every Jedi was good.
Yeah, that was a fun kind of... So, I didn't expect her to be like, I do work for them. Yep, I am actually one of the officers. However...
Yeah.
I expected her just to be someone who had dressed up the part and kind of done it, but...
Yeah.
To know that there was kind of like this underground movement within, that's a cool little extra layer to it.
Love that. I absolutely love that. I love the idea that there are people who were perhaps Republican proud, so to speak, who have all been swept up into the Empire that are like, not a fan of this.
Screw you guys.
This isn't good. And so she explains the path. Now, we have a little... I don't know whether you can call it an Easter egg when someone literally says the word out loud, but Obi-Wan looks to the wall and goes, Quinlan was here. Now, have you ever heard of a Jedi called Quinlan Vos?
I don't think so yet.
Okay, so, for anybody who's purely TV movie properties, they may not be aware, but... I have a little bit of a description of who Quinlan Vos is for everyone, okay?
Yeah.
So, the first official appearance came in the form of a quick mention in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan says Master Vos has moved his troops. However, Quinlan showed up properly in the Clone Wars cartoon, where he worked directly alongside Obi-Wan, so they have history.
Nice.
What is more interesting about Quinlan and why we think a live-action version of him could be appearing is that he actually, for a time, descended to the dark side. He, in a graphic novel which has now seemingly become canon, fell in love with a Sith assassin known as Ventress.
Okay.
After she's killed, Quinlan eventually found his way back to the light, and it was Obi-Wan who was the person who went to the Jedi Council to reinstate him fully to the Jedi Order following his fall from grace. So Quinlan will have a very unique perspective about Anakin, and I think that could be why we see him enter this in a live-action capacity. Now that's kind of like a little bit of history and a little bit of an opinion. I'd like to add to this, okay? Yeah. I would like to tie this into other live-action property for a moment. Okay. We know a certain character called Grogu was saved from the temple.
I've heard of that
during Order
guy.
66.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah. We now know there is this underground thing called the Path, and we've just heard Quinlan Vos is using it to rescue younglings.
So you think that could
I think Quinlan Vos saved younglings, and one of them being Grogu.
Yep.
And I think in this series we could get a live-action Quinlan and perhaps a younger Grogu, a cameo, a Grogu cameo.
I mean, can you get younger than Baby Grogu? But yeah,
I think you can. He looks frog-sized. But I just got this weird feeling because it was a very deliberate line that he has been saving younglings. Not Jedi, not, because you could just blanket statement that, but no, Quinlan was saving younglings.
Yeah.
It felt deliberate.
Yeah, it did. I think from a pure outsider's point of view, if they were to make a cameo of baby Grogu in this, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, wow, talk about milking the cow. Like,
Really?
I think I loved Grogu and I loved him in the stuff we've already seen him in.
Yeah.
As a mention, I think it'd be awesome. Like, to mention him in this, I think it'd be awesome. I don't think we need to see him in it, though.
Okay.
That's just me. I love the character. I have at least 2 items on my computer desk which are Grogu inspired or themed.
Don't you find that a bit of a contrast then, that you love the character but you don't want to see him?
Yes, I do. No, I do. But I'm enjoying this being about Ben and about Anakin and stuff. So to give him a mention, but don't kind of bring him in massively, if that makes sense.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see. I mean, like I said, it was just a random thought from me anyway. So we do get a mention of Quinlan.
Happen. A lot of your random thoughts happen.
Yeah. I think if you throw enough shit at a wall, some of it's going to stick. So, now, we then get a scene which can be straight up described as dark.
Yes.
Vader arrives at the town, and I think he can sense Obi-Wan is there.
Yep.
And so he is trying to lure him out by just killing random people in the street. And man, it's so difficult because I think from my point of view, one of the greatest stories or character arcs ever is Anakin to Vader back to Anakin. I think the fact that I can watch Revenge of the Sith after seeing it 10 sometimes or 10 plus times over all these years, and I still have the emotion of please don't do that. Please pick a different path this time.
Yes.
which is so stupid, but I'm still like, no. When the Emperor reveals himself and you hold your lightsaber to him, cut his freaking head off. And then ring window and go, you'll never guess what. Yeah, just like, and who's the Jedi Master now, Mace? What up? just pick a different, like, when Mace Windu has got the Emperor there, and you're there, and you're looking between the two, and Mace goes, like, don't do it, Anakin, just go, hey, if I side with you in this moment, can I break a little Jedi rule and get married and have kids? That's very specific, but yes, okay, great, kill him.
Yeah.
Is it possible you could give extra medical attention to Senator Padme because she's expecting children? And do you see where I'm going with this? It's kind of like, just pick a different path, man. And I'm still like that, so I think it's been done brilliantly. So when I see Vader walking through, picking up a random guy and killing him by choking him, and then the child of that guy, and I mean a child, just snapping their neck.
Yep, I watched that and was like, oh, damn.
There's like literally families in the street crying and screaming, and he's just walking through the town, picking them up with the Force and killing them.
I'll throw you over there, I'll break your neck, I'll throw you over there. Yeah.
The scene of Ben sensing him being there as well, I thought was brilliant.
Literally, the way he's like hairs on the back of the neck, like stop and like, oh wait a minute.
It was like he, it was like in that moment he was just shook. Like it felt like an earthquake hit, and only he could feel it.
Yeah.
He tells Tala, get Leia to the ship, get her back to Alderaan. I think in that moment, he thinks he's dead. I think in that moment, when he says, get her to Alderaan, he's not saying get her to the ship, I'll meet you there. It's get her to Alderaan. He kind of throws in for Leia's benefit, I'll be right behind you.
Yeah.
But he says to Tala, I'm going to lead him away.
Yeah, I
because
think
he knows
Ben's aware of exactly why. And the
Yeah.
fact of... So, Ben already knew that Vader wanted him. Now he suddenly knows it's Anakin, and that adds a whole new kind of level to... yeah, whatever. A Sith wants to kill me. That's not the first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Yeah, Anakin wants to kill me, and I kind of left him for dead on the planet. Yeah, I can see this. Yeah.
And if he gets close enough, is he gonna sense? Wait a minute, that girl. She's force sensitive. She reminds me of somebody.
Yeah.
Hold the you know.
Yeah.
And that's when it really gets real. So he like I said, he is just kind of just gonna lead him away. And I think in that moment he's like, look, I'm done. Get her back to Alderaan. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
And he does. He sets off running, and Vader in pursuit. The third sister and the rest of the Inquisitors are then going to go through and rip the town apart, sort of looking for anyone else, looking for any other clues. Yep. And we touched on this with regards to the tunnel. So we've already covered that with the third sister and what happens there. So let's focus in on Vader hunting down Obi-Wan.
So again, this is a scene where it seems like online a lot of people were rather unhappy with it. Yet me and you were talking.
The duel.
The duel.
Yeah.
Yet me and you were talking about it, and we were like, well, yeah, that's exactly how I would expect that to go down. And online, everyone's like, oh, what? So what? Last time Ben just wiped the floor of him, and now this time he can't even hold a lightsaber. And it's like, are you forgetting the fact that it's been 10 years of hatred and anger versus 10 years of completely suppressing all Force feelings? You know, the imagery of Ben Kenobi on his knees using both hands on the lightsaber trying to hold him up, and Anakin being able to use one, just banging on top of him and stuff. And it's like, and
I thought the thing I loved about that as well is a little bit of symmetry, the anger. So Vader doing that, just trying to smash through. There wasn't any finesse in that fight. Remember when they fought in episode 3, the two of them, they were like brothers. Their technique was so similar. Yeah. That constantly they were out there. You know, the fight just went for ages because they just knew what each other were going to do. Yep. But Anakin fought like a Jedi. In this, he fights with anger. Yeah. And it is powerful, and he is overpowered. And Ben is literally just trying to stay alive. Like you said, both hands on the saber, just trying to stay alive, and he is just pounding on him. Now, when I talk about symmetry and little things, do you remember a scene in, I think it's the Return of the Jedi, and Luke and Vader gets in Luke's head and talks about, if I can't turn you, maybe I'll turn the sister. Yep. And Luke snaps and goes at him. And when he goes at him, he hammers on him, just like Vader's doing to Ben, until he cuts his hand off. Yep. And then the Emperor's, good, you've used hatred. And that's when Luke goes, oh, wow, yeah. And throws his saber away.
And
like,
I got my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not going to go down that path.
Yeah.
And this is, to me, is like such a mirror image of Luke, the way Luke was slamming into Vader on that scene, to this one where Vader is smashing into Obi-Wan, Ben. And I think it's important to call him Ben in this moment, because he is Ben Kenobi.
Yeah,
he is not a Jedi.
Not Obi-Wan Kenobi at all, no.
No. And we talked about this scene, you know, where he basically uses the Force again and like elevates him off the ground. We talked earlier, like, why doesn't he kill him? But then does he just want to hurt him rather than kill him at this point? Wants to make him suffer. Yeah. I still think there's a little bit of conflict there. I know that I'm probably in the minority.
I like the idea of it, though. I really like the idea of that.
That's my thoughts, and I'm sticking with it. But we do see Tala get there. Tala takes out a stormtrooper. We see that loader droid arrive to pick him up, and we see Vader. And one of the scenes I loved is seeing the flames in Vader's helmet. Yes, I loved that cinematography. You know, that was beautiful. That was kind of like, I like that a lot. I'm a big fan. But yeah, Ben gets his ass kicked, and the episode ends with him in a bad way, and Vader kind of like, I'll find you again. Don't you worry. That's fine. I'm gonna let you go. It feels like he kind of was like a cat playing with a mouse.
Yeah, you're injured.
Like, yeah,
I'm
okay.
gonna let you wander off there, but I'll be waiting.
I'm gonna let you heal, and then I'm gonna do it again. Do you know what I mean? It just felt like that. If that's how it because we said about you could use the Force to do the flames, or maybe there's conflict, or maybe it is just I'm toying with you. I am that much more powerful now. I'm gonna find you again, and I'm just gonna keep killing people until I got you again. Every person in that town I just killed is on you. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's vicious and it's nasty.
And that's the sort of thing that will really ruin someone like Ben Kenobi.
Massively,
all these people
innocent
are dying
people
because of me.
Yeah, innocent people dying because of him. That will impact him more than anything else.
Yeah,
anything else. So the end of this episode is Leia's being chased by Reva. Reva's basically got Leia, which is a big worry.
Yeah.
Ben is in a bad way. Tala's got him with that loading droid, and that's how the episode ends. Yeah. So I can't wait for part 4. Before we get to part 4, there's a couple of things I want to bring up. A couple of things that weren't addressed in this episode that I'm really curious about.
Okay.
The first one, the Grand Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
The Grand Inquisitor appears in Star Wars Rebels, which is set after this. So a lot of people are like, oh, they've broken canon by killing him. And I'm like, he can't be dead then. Now, his species has multiple stomachs and organs and stuff like that. So it's infinitely possible he got some. After episode 2, me and you recorded, and I was like, wow, he's dead. I'm like kind of shocked. I'm really shook up.
Mm.
And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, actually, he might not be. And I was like, oh, thinking about it, he's in Rebels. He really can't be.
He was stabbed in one of his 4 stomachs and 3 hearts, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah, he's going to be okay. But we now have this situation where, wait a minute, if he wasn't dead, surely Vader, the rest of the Inquisitors would be saying, well, when he recovers, we'll find out what Obi-Wan did to him, won't we? But no, she's like, he's gone. Vader's like, okay, well, you can be the next Grand Inquisitor. They're all acting like he is dead. Yeah. So this is something I'm confused. That is confusing me. Are we gonna see another character emerge as the Grand Inquisitor from the same species? No, I don't think. I think it's the same guy. So yeah, I am confused at how that's going to be resolved.
Yeah, because it's not even like in some of them, like they're wearing the costumes and stuff. You could get away with a stormtrooper being a stormtrooper and stuff, but this is a character who is very defining features, looks, markings, species, everything. So yeah, as long as they're keeping Rebels as canon, which they've said they are.
Oh, definitely, yeah, definitely.
Then, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to bring up.
Yeah, so that is something to be, like I said, that is something for them to resolve. That is something that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I had from this episode, which again I'm kind of love to get your take on, is do you think that we are going to get, because we've had it hinted at quite seriously so far about Qui-Gon, about Master Qui-Gon. Now I do think that, I mean, I'd be shocked if we now don't get at least the voice of Qui-Gon come to Obi-Wan at some point. Do you think we're going to get another saber fight between Ben / Obi-Wan and Vader in this series?
I believe we will, purely because if you remember the like the posters and stuff they brought out, there was a picture of them two fighting, and I'm not convinced we've seen that in that episode.
I remember when Kathleen Kennedy, the president, announced Hayden Christensen, she said the words, they're going to have another swing at each other.
Yeah.
And I remember Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen being like really kind of, yeah, we get to have another go at each other. Like we get to go again. And I'm looking at that fight that we've just had, and I'm thinking, that's not it, is it?
That can't be. That wasn't enough of a big swing.
That wasn't really a saber. That felt like a one guy trying to stay alive and one guy trying to pulverize him. That didn't feel like a swing at each other. That didn't feel like a fight. That felt very... I think we are now, possibly part 4, part 5, Master Qui-Gon, and we're going to get a bit of a kind of, you need to try and redeem him. I think we're going to have Qui-Gon in Obi-Wan's ear. There's still good in him. You can fix this.
Oh God!
And I think therefore he's going to have to get himself back into some sort of ring shape and go and confront Vader so he can try and redeem it. And I think obviously he's then not going to be able to do it, and he's going to have to fight his way to get away from him. Do you see what I mean? I just think that he's going to try one more time to try and redeem him. Now, lastly from me, and then I'll let you jump in if you've got any other bits. The character of Reva.
Yes.
There is a really fun kind of conspiracy theory online that I love, okay?
No, I love all conspiracy theories. Go on.
They released posters for all the characters, which I love that they do this now. And in all of the posters, you have someone appearing in the eye of the character. In Obi-Wan's poster is Vader. In Vader's poster, it's Obi-Wan. In Leia's poster, so everyone's kind of got these people in their eye. And the way it seems to work, in all of the Inquisitors, Vader, all of their eyes, it's Obi-Wan. They're all focused on him. Mm-hmm. They are all going for him. In Reva's, it's Vader. The theory is that she is trying to capture Obi-Wan to get close to Vader to try and kill him. She is actually straight up looking for revenge against Anakin.
Because of the younglings.
Yeah. Because she is doing everything so she will be able to stand next to him, whatever, Grand Inquisitor, whatever it takes to be next to him to kill him.
To get an audience with Vader to be able to... Yeah.
And that's her sole focus. She's driven by that. She's not good. She's out murdering people. She is very much in the dark side right now, but she is doing it purely, revenge. Revenge is a Sith thing. That's not a Jedi. Revenge isn't the Jedi way. But she is out for Vader. And that's all just because of the poster. So all these posters, if you look at them, they've all got the person in their eye who they're focusing on. Yeah. And her focus is Vader, not Ben. And yet in the show, her focus is Ben. It's like, I got to find Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I'm looking at the posters now, and it's like the two suns over one eye. Yeah. And that is cool, man.
That's fun. I like that theory. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, my friend? Anything I missed, or any other bits and pieces?
The only thing I was going to mention was going back to this Qui-Gon sort of thing. Yeah. And I'm wondering if we are ever going to actually see it. Like, if it's going to be a case of, is it ever just going to be a voice? Are we going to hear Liam Neeson's voice at all? Or
I think so.
Or are we going to actually see like the first of the Force ghosts and things that come through?
So
and
there's a
Go on.
There's a reason I don't think we will see a Force ghost of Qui-Gon. And I think that's because he is the first ever Jedi to work out how to become one with the Force and retain his individuality. I don't think he was able, because I think it's canon. I think it's already in Clone Wars and stuff like that. I don't think he's able to do it. I don't think. I could be wrong, and I might be remembering it wrong. But for me, I think his voice, and I think it would work better as well, because obviously the actor's a lot older now. And it would be a bit weird if a Force ghost has aged a lot, So, wait a minute. Like I thought I'd appear as this to make you realise I'm old now. Anyway,
just because we have
I
the
kind of
Force
just
does
feel
not mean we won't age.
yeah, just because I've died doesn't mean I'm not getting older. Wait a minute, that's exactly what it means. So yeah, I kind of think that it's voice. I think we might get that. Yeah, I mean I could be wrong. I could be massively wrong on this, but the fact that he's mentioned Qui-Gon twice, and the fact he clearly needs a kick in the pants to get himself back to being Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
it just feels like that's going to be Qui-Gon. It just feels like it's got to be him.
And this is the thing for me, like, we are hearing him mentioned enough times. You know,
Yeah.
like, it's not just a name that's been mentioned once and kind of, it's done. He keeps going back and he keeps asking, you know, come on, Master, come on. And I'm like, surely that means he's going to have to. Even if it is just the voice in the ear. Or,
I mean, I'd love it. I would absolutely love it. Just to hear, you know, like...
Are we going to get a fight between Obi-Wan and Vader, and Obi-Wan's going to have the upper hand and have a chance to kill Vader, and then we're going to hear the voice in the ear of, there's still good in him, Ben.
Yeah.
No!
That would be, man, that would be epic, wouldn't it?
You know,
that'd be,
you promised me, Obi. You promised me. Yeah. I can't do it. And then Vader goes on to do everything else he's done, and it's still all on Obi-Wan for doing it.
Yeah. No,
I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi is the reason for a lot of death in the galaxy.
Yeah, moving on quickly, because my favourite character. He's my favourite Jedi, dude. Move on. Yeah, so there we go. I love it. I love this episode. I love part 3. I love part 1, 2, and 3. We've got 3 more episodes. We're over the halfway point of this series.
Which I'm already pissed at.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gutted that we're over halfway already, but yeah, I'm loving it. As we discussed last week, they aired episodes 1 and 2 on a Friday. Why they did that, Disney are the people to ask. I think we all know why, but they did it anyway, and then they reverted back to their Wednesday release.
Have they really gone just to go head to head with another show? Like,
I think so.
Like,
there's no other reason, is there?
Insanity. Like, if you've got a show as big as what they were potentially going up against, and you've got your show, surely you would just turn around and go, nope, okay, release it on a Wednesday. We'll have it first. They could have brought it out 2 days before. Everyone would have watched it, and then they would have gone on to the other streaming sites. It's an
old-fashioned network TV thing. Make the public choose, win in the ratings, be the bomb, you know. The reality is, and here's the thing that makes me laugh, in streaming, I watched both.
This is the thing, isn't it?
I watched Obi-Wan first, but who cares which I watched first? I watched both, and that's what everybody who's a fan of both would have done.
Yeah.
And someone who's a fan of Stranger Things and not Star Wars is not going to watch Obi-Wan, and someone who's a fan of Obi-Wan and not Stranger Things isn't going to watch the other. So, literally, fans of both are going to watch both. And, yeah, it's a nonsense. But it's back to Wednesday releases, which means we are going to bring this to you every Friday.
Yeah,
so the show will air Wednesday. The show will air Wednesday. We will put this out on a Friday today. So listen out for that. Look out for all our social media. We'll update everyone where everything is. But until next time, everybody, you all take care.
May the Force be with you.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.